Hello and welcome to Niesa's Players D&D Vault. Um, I'm going to be going through the character sheets so that my players can get the most out of them, understand a lot of the extra functionality available, and then I will do a segment at the end for anybody else watching this who wants to kind of see how I did it so that you can then use that in your own vaults and what you want to do with it. And so to start with, I've already pulled up a template that I need today. I'm going to be working through the images today for customizing your sheet. And so you can see here, I've got my banners at the top, I have cards, and I have this wonderful image here. Now, it used to be that your main image, you had to go into this big code block to put your image in, then you had to go up into the source mode code, put the image in another line so that it would read from the campaign page. Like when we look at this one, we can see that it shows up on their cards. That's no longer the case. I have been able to set it up so that you put the image in here in these wonderful brackets and it reads to this spot and it reads all the way down your character sheet to here as well. And so then it's automatic, you don't have to worry about it, and you can also see your main image with all of your extra character information. And so we have a few ways to be able to achieve what we are doing here today. So to put into the cards, we want to either copy and paste or drag and drop. So to start with, I actually need 5 cards here and there are only 4. So if I click above here, now you'll see when I hover over that I don't get the little lines because these banners actually cover the code block ability. But I can go into it another way. I can click above, I can down arrow in, and there's the code block for what I am doing. Now I want another card. So if I just select from up here to down here and I control C to copy, and from here I re-click and then I control V to paste. Now I have a 5th card. Wonderful. If I click out, it should look, oh no. Yeah, it's not going to work. So what I have to do is actually correct the snippet to recognize that I'm allowed more than 4 cards across. So when I go down arrow in again, we can see that this top instruction panel says cards 4. And I need it to say cards 5. Then it will look properly all the way across. So now we have our wonderful cards 5. I want them to say different things. If anybody knows the character sheet I'm filling in, they know that Esu is one of my most fleshed out and iconic characters. I have done a lot with her, and she has gone through a lot. So I am going to fill in her 2 little pets. I want an image of her up here from her old version to her new version. I want an image with her and her spouse. And I want an image of the organization that she is a part of, although she's kind of changed that nowadays. And those are the pictures that I want to be able to put in here. Now, there are multiple ways that I can do this. I can copy and paste. So from wherever the image is, whether it's one that you found, whether it's one that you have in your computer, you can copy. You can come down into this section, delete the image placeholder, and control V paste, and it will automatically adapt the image to match the page name and give a number code. So it becomes a unique file in your vault now. It's just automatically added. So to do that again, to show you, I simply copy, click in here, down arrow, select the image placeholder I want, delete it, and paste. And now I have 2 pictures. The other option that I have is drag and drop. So from wherever I have the image saved on my computer, I can click and hold, drag it into my vault, and bring it directly in. Now you see when I hover over the cards themselves, I get that little red no-go zone. I cannot drag it into the cards. But if I drag it to the very bottom of the cards, just the line underneath, it automatically pulls it into the cards. And then I can select it, click and drag it as well up to the line I want it in. Once again, remove the image placeholder, click outside the box, and there it is. Now you can see that these are not the same size. And the wonderful thing about these cards is I can resize them and they will center again. And so I want them all nice and looking pretty. That's one of the reasons I wanted Zentrum in the second. I can really think about the images that I want and how I want to put them in. So to show that again, it is select the image that I want, drag it just below the cards, drag it just into the line that I want it, and then I can click outside the box and I can resize the image to what I want. One more time, drag and drop or copy and paste, put the code where you want the image, remove the image placeholder, and resize as desired. That one I'm actually happy with. And that is the card section. Next is this wonderful, most important image. So whether you drag and drop or copy and paste, the point that you want here is that you actually want it up in this top portion because it's the code you want, not the image. So you're going to bring it up. Then you're going to select that whole image that pops up without the exclamation point, Control C, and then you can actually just delete it and delete the exclamation point so it's out of your way. The exclamation point will cause issues with your code. So if you do accidentally copy it, then when you come down here and Control V paste it, it will not read properly. You will have to use the arrow keys to get to the front, and then you can delete the exclamation point and it will suddenly read. And now you can see that my image of Esu is there and down here. So it automatically pulls and connects. But I have also added a newer feature to be able to customize artwork on your character sheet, and I really want to use that for Esu. So for those of you that know, there was a scene with her and her now mate that was kind of a big deal for her. And you can see, oh, I went too fast. So there's this wonderful little banner in the corner here, this little flag. You can click that. I'm going to go to an image that's already in my vault, and I am going to search it by the image name. So remember, it takes the page name that it had. And so, of course, you can see a bunch of duplicates now because I have been playing with this. So I'm going to select it. It gives me this wonderful pull-up. I can position exactly where I want this scene to be centered on. And then I can even change this icon. So I want it to be a mimic because I am a total mimic geek. And I have a mimic icon in there. So, and then I'm going to close my settings. Now you'll see sometimes this icon part is slow. So sometimes you want to close the page and reopen it. And boom, there's my mimic icon. And you can see the code issue that happens a lot of the time when you open it is because the code is too long to read on its own. And so sometimes you have to scroll down and scroll back up. But there it is. I hope that was helpful for my players to see how that works. Now we get to show how the rest of it works to everybody else. So the card section is pretty simple. We're going to go into source mode here so that we can look at everything. And yes, my front matter is a mile long. All right, so here is cards. So if you are looking for how cards works, there it is. If it is past these little symbols, you are going to be outside of the cards section. It will not pull in. But you have your header line and you have your image line. And you can change your image sizes, of course. And cards just has to say how many across. So your card size can absolutely be bigger than this, as you saw earlier. But this will label how many go left to right in each row. If you do more than that, it will add multiple rows. That's cards. Now what I did for the data view and the main image. So all I did to start with was an input line of text to the image front matter. That's why the brackets are so important, because otherwise the actual data view code to read the image will not show up if not for the brackets, because it's actually just a text line into the input. And so at the top of my front matter in image, here is what it actually ends up looking like. These quotation marks are super important, or the brackets will actually erase themselves and then the image cannot read. So you must have that exact point and the image on your input section so that you can be ready to rock and roll with it. Now, because I have this data view image view in the info box, this is what it looks like. In the info box, it has all those wonderful starting pieces, but it works and it's fantastic. So you can pause it, you can steal that. Now, of course, down here in my wonderful section, you can see that this image section here is not in an info box, so it doesn't have those pieces. And that just shows you both parts of the code, when it's in the info box, when it's not in the info box. Hopefully that is helpful to you. It is able to then pull it from the front matter and display it, which I absolutely love. So when I come back out of source mode and back up to the top, we get this gorgeous personalized page. Now, the one downside to that data view is you'll notice this does not light up with very great ability to change your size. You can, but it's a lot trickier and slower to get that spot, that magic spot, than it is on these, to be able to change your size so that that page doesn't take up the whole thing. And then, of course, if we go into our source mode again, we can see that it really doesn't change anything in here, because that had very little to do with the actual code here. It's a new Obsidian thing, and you can see it doesn't save. That is the downside. The old image positioning, where you just put the image display field in there, but you have to go into the source, of course, lets you change the size, but not when it's auto reading. So that is an unfortunate downside, but it is what it is. At least it's auto reading, and for my players, that is far more important. And the last thing that I use, you can see I use it a lot. I used it on the campaign page we looked at. I've got it up here on my character sheets. I've got it on my sideboard, is the banners. And the plugin that I am using for that is Pixel Banner. I have found this one to be quite handy. It's got a lot of fantastic settings. Plus is always a win for it. So I hope that that helped everybody, that answered your questions. Enjoy personalizing your character sheets.